Yo, everybody, what's good? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at Sonic CD, the bridge between Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, and probably the most divisive classic Sonic game. So is it good? We'll find out in this video. Hit it!
You gotta do what?
I gotta believe!
Sonic!
So this time, instead of being on the Mega Collection, I actually played this game on the Gems Collection, which is a collection of hidden gems for Sonic at the time. This leads into the history of Sonic CD, which released on the Sega CD, a failing peripheral for a Sega Genesis. You see, because it did not sell well, for a while Sonic CD was seen as a cult classic, until it was remade a second time for Xbox Live and PSN in 2011. With its cult classic status, it was praised as this hidden best classic game. But now the statement has changed. Now the consensus on it is very mixed, with some liking it and some hating it. Even though the Xbox Live version fixes a lot of these design issues, which is the version I'm playing today, it still is seen as a mixed bag too, even for those who like it. So let's see why that is. Before I go into the gameplay fully, it's very important to state what was going on at the time in 1993. Sonic 2 has cemented Sonic as an established franchise, and with all of the popularity and success Sonic was getting at the time, the need for more media-related material for it expanded. This led to the creation of cartoons, comics, manga, serial, that type of stuff. With that, the establishment of Sonic's world would be left up to many creators' interpretations, since back then the game's stories weren't really a big focus, nor did they have many guidelines for what should or should not be in these types of media. You had The Adventures of Sonic, a more comedic-based series, Sonic Sat AM, which had a more underlying serious story, with also having a lot of comedic elements. Then you had the Archie comics that took inspiration from Sonic Sat AM, but developed into more serious arcs later on. And last you had the European comics, which also mixed some serious elements with a bit of comedic tones, though Sonic was a bit of an asshole in this interpretation. Damn, Tails. Sorry, man. My point in saying this is that for the most part, while all of these in a way represent part of what Sonic is, none of it was directly from the original game line. The idea of Sonic really seemed as a shonen. Think Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, that type of stuff. Sonic stories usually hold serious stakes with a mix of comedic elements. The only other platformer that really had this at the time was Mega Man. In fact, not many platformers would even have stories like this until the 2000s with games like Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper. Anyways, I bring this up because CD is really the first to have a full animated cutscene to tell the story of the game. The animation on this really holds up today, and it's really amazing to see. It starts out showing Eggman has taken over a whole planet this time, and Sonic has to head in to save it. Sonic's design and attitude seem a bit more serious too in the cutscenes. I feel because of how limited they were with the hardware at the time, they couldn't tell the story in the exact interpretation they wanted to, so the series relied heavily on visual storytelling. This is why when discussing the topics on Sonic stories, most people are mixed on how the tone should be, when in reality it's a mix of both to make its own tone. And Sonic CD is a great example of this. The story of Sonic CD has a little bit more going on than 2. Actually, this game takes place before 2, which is the reason Tails doesn't appear at all. The little planet is a small planet that appears over Earth once a year, but this time something is wrong. The planet is chained and most of it is roboticized. Having seen this on his daily run, Sonic goes on Little Planet to stop whatever is the cause of the problem. Meanwhile, 2 other parties are at play waiting for him. Eggman and his new creation, Metal Sonic, who are the ones that have taken over Little Planet, and Amy, the pink female hedgehog who has an obsession with Sonic and thinks they are destined to be together thanks to her tarot cards. When Sonic gets on Little Planet, he is found by Amy, who continues to follow him, much to Sonic's dismay, until Metal Sonic appears and kidnaps her, and now Sonic must stop him and Eggman and restore Little Planet for robotization. This is where the objective transfers into the gameplay, as the way Sonic can restore Little Planet involves time travel. By running through the past or future goalposts, Sonic can now go to the past version or the future version of each level. Changing the time will change some parts of the level design, backgrounds, and the music. The bad future being a dark dystopia, and the good future being a utopia with no enemies in the levels. Although you can go to the future, you'll be using these goalposts to go back to the past for the most part, because this is where the restoration begins. In the past, you have to explore the levels and find the robotization machine and destroy it. There is also a Metal Sonic hologram that are optional to destroy. Destroying these machines makes the enemy disappear from the level and creates a good future for the act. If you do this in both acts, Act 3 will be a good future, where no enemies will be present, while not doing this sends you to a bad future, which has the same level design just with more enemies. In each future, you have to fight a boss regardless. There's also another way to get a good future in all levels, and that is collecting the time stones. The time stones are like the Chaos Emeralds, however, instead of controlling power, they control time. There are 6 of them, and you get them the same way you got the emeralds in the first game. You collect 50 rings and jump into the portal at the end of the stage. It was already a problem holding on the rings in the first game, but with some of the complex levels in CD, it can be even worse than that first one. However, the game sort of mitigates this by having more rings in the levels compared to 1 and 2. Now the special stages themselves are a step up and a step down from the previous. Compared to Sonic 1 and 2, these are better. You have to destroy all the UFOs in a 3D space, and thanks to being on the CD, the stage does not lag like Sonic 2's did. Well, maybe in the original CD hardware, but in the remake, it doesn't lag. However, it is not without its issues. Aiming for these UFOs can be hard, and you'll find yourself barely missing when you're hitting them. Then trying to go back to it is not always an option, since it takes long for Sonic to turn around in the first place. And if you jump, you better hope that Sonic doesn't fall in the water, because that will run your time down fast the longer you're in it. Blue UFOs can sometimes give you more time, but some of them will be mandatory and give you nothing. These stages rely heavily on your skill with getting the UFOs rather than memorization, but if the controls were tighter, it would be a lot better. Also, the backgrounds of these levels are very weird. Some are just cool islands in the backgrounds, while others involve cities in some crazy locations. And then you have this mess. I hope you don't have seizure problems, because Sega doesn't give a damn. I do enjoy the special stages this time, and while they have their issues, it doesn't bring the good feature down for me because there is another option that gives you that. It's great that Sonic CD lets you choose how you want to get the good ending. It's really up to your preference though. Both styles have their issues. Back to the regular gameplay, Sonic now has a new move which helps him navigate levels, the Super Peel Out, which allows Sonic to charge up a figure 8 to gain speed really fast. Sort of like the Spin Dash, but you're more vulnerable and it looks cooler. But the Spin Dash's functionality is better. And speaking of the Spin Dash, it works a bit differently too. Instead of constantly charging it, it sort of charges itself into place and works more like a peel out, except you are less vulnerable to attack. It's also not as strong as 2's Spin Dash. It kinda got nerfed. It doesn't hurt the game that much, but 2's Spin Dash will truly be missed. Besides that, Sonic controls the same as before, so there's nothing else here that changed. However, there is something that has changed significantly: the graphics. Since the game was running on stronger hardware, the graphics have improved phenomenally. Using Green Hill as an example again, look at the detail in Palm Tree Panic compared to it. While both are different stages, Palm Tree Panic has more going on in the background compared to Green Hill, as well as the area that involves transitioning to 3D, like going up a slope here. This continues on the character animation themselves. There isn't much new here, but it looked more smooth and vibrant thanks to the CD hardware. They even gave Sonic something new to do when he's idle, like check this out.
I'm out of here.
Yeah man, Sonic just bails out if you don't move for a while, giving up on the player for not playing the game. He doesn't have time to waste and it just shows in the expressions. This doesn't really affect gameplay, but it adds more character and charm to the game itself. It's little things that matter, but you can really see the improvement that Sonic CD brought in its later levels. The parallax scrolling that occurs in the background gives levels more depth than ever before, and with the additional colors on the screen, Little Planet ends up being one of the most vibrant areas Sonic has been through. It's amazing what the CD technology did. I just wish it sold better and we got better games from it. But as good as these levels look, are they actually designed well? Well, that's also pretty complicated to talk about. There are 7 zones in the game with 3 acts in each. These zones are Palm Tree Panic, Collision Chaos, Tidal Tempest, Quartz Quadrant, Wacky Workbench, Stardust Speedway, and Metallic Madness. While each zone is varied in its design and aesthetic, a couple take inspiration from older Sonic zones. As I stated before, Palm Tree Panic is a more vibrant green hill, and Tidal Tempest is a more boring labyrinth. I know mentioning that zone probably triggers some dark memories, but it's not as bad as that level at all. In fact, it's the most boring level in the game if you ask me, and I find my playthroughs dragging here. And it's not like the stage does anything wrong in particular. Like, there's nothing special about this level. There's nothing special about the level design or the platforming underwater. At least in Labyrinth it kept you aware at all times. Here you're just slogging through a level. At least the good feature in this world looks nice. I don't have much to say on Palm Tree Panic either, as it's really just the first level of the game, and besides the 3D slopes and Amy appears there's not that much to offer. I do like the bad feature aesthetic here. This and the past version are the only ones to have a major difference in this zone, as the future just looks similar to the present except with more robotic textures. The rest of the zones aren't inspired by any older zones and are completely new, which is great. Collision Chaos, for instance, is in a crazy city where up is down and down is up. The colors will make this stage no matter what time period you're in, and the level design is very insane in nature. It's a bit cramped, but I think that works because the level is supposed to be cramped. It is called Collision Chaos after all. Even with the name, you don't collide into many things that much. In fact, this is probably one of the least complicated zones in the entire game. It's not the level design that's hectic, it's really the bumpers that are everywhere bouncing you around. Even then, the level doesn't get too complicated or annoying during the playthrough. Quartz Quadrant, on the other hand, is more calm compared to the other levels before, but still offers great design. It takes place in the mining outpost, and the level design follows more of a straightforward approach with the 3-lane system we've seen in previous Sonic games. Only it's much more apparent here. This doesn't make the level bad, but in fact makes it more interesting that it fits with the aesthetic of the factory style. The biggest obstacles here are the conveyor belts, which aren't really a hazard, and you can just switch them on to help you go in the direction you want to go, making this level the second easiest in the game. And that leads us into the last levels of the game. But I think in order to discuss them, we have to look at what Sonic CD's level design was trying to do. You see, because of the new time travel mechanic, levels are designed so that you can go back to places at any point in the level. This, of course, is different from what the previous game did, which is fine, and actually helps you. However, that does not mean many levels are designed to want you to go back. In fact, these last 3 levels, at times, you can't even go back. This not only makes trying to get the robot machines a pain, but getting to the past or future itself a difficult task. Levels just throw so much in your way, so when you're trying to gain speed to time travel, you may end up losing the ability by getting cut off at the last minute before you go. To its credit, some levels have sections that are made just to get you to time travel, but they are few and far between, making getting to the past a pain later on. This really culminates in the next level, Wacky Workbench. I don't know what the hell was going on the level design team, but it decided to throw so much crap in the screen all at once, and someone on the team really must like bouncing around all the time. You have a bouncing floor that knocks you to the top constantly, where there are electric lasers that turn on in the foreground ready to shock you, along with freezing machines turning Sonic into ice and enemies who blend in too well with the environment. In fact, that happens in a lot of levels. Wacky Workbench exemplifies this problem with the worst of Sonic CD's level design, as it can be too cramped and too much stuff is going on the screen. It makes navigation confusing. This can be bearable with just playing through the level, but trying to navigate this stuff while getting rings for special stages or going to the past and finding a roboticizer is a huge pain, especially when roboticizers are put in really cryptic locations. Look at Wacky Workbench again. You see this roboticizer? How do you think you get to it? If you thought going back in the level and getting crushed by this random block leading you to a secret tunnel that gets you there, then you're right. It's such a stupid setup to get one machine and then combine it with a terribly designed level, and it creates one of the low points of the game and highlights the biggest issues within the game itself. Now don't get me wrong, nothing in this game really compares to Metropolis or Labyrinth, but there are still issues that can drag the game down, and Wacky Workbench is that level of the game. Stardust Speedway is an okay level, but it has a problem with just having too many dash panels and also having a problem with being confused and navigate, as you keep bouncing back and forth thanks to the dash panels. This is where the fight with Metal Sonic takes place, and is the only challenging boss fight in the entire game. I think it works better with the bad feature rather than the good feature, as the music fits the tone of the battle, and it would make more sense for Metal to be in the bad one than in the good one. You race Metal Sonic to Amy while Eggman has a giant one-hit kill beam right behind you. Metal Sonic will try to attack you if you get ahead of him, and there are many spikes and obstacles in the road, so you have to be vigilant while going fast. This boss is more cool for the spectacle than the actual fight, but he's still iconic for his music and his rivalry with Metal Sonic and Sonic. When you beat Metal Sonic, he gets destroyed by the beam and Sonic frees Amy, as he prepared to enter the last zone, Metallic Madness. But before I get into that zone, let's talk about the bosses. So like I said, the Metal Sonic fight is really the only challenge when it comes to boss fights in the game. Now in previous Sonic games, the bosses were never too hard or difficult, unless they had a cheap move or you had no rings. But these guys here don't even put up a fight. So the first boss is the chump, okay, but then you get to the next jobber, and then the next jobber, and then the next jobber, and the next jobber. I mean, one of them is just running on a treadmill until Eggman machine breaks. What the hell happened to the doctor's machines? I guess he spent too much time roboticizing the whole planet and making a clone of Sonic, but that's still no excuse for the doctor. He's supposed to be the smartest scientist in the world. What's he doing? It would have been cool to have bosses be harder or change if you got a bad or good feature, but that doesn't happen at all, and Eggman just isn't a threat in this game at all. Metal Sonic's more of a threat. He goes out before the last level. I guess the rest of his time developing bosses went into the level Metallic Madness, his domain on the Little Planet. Metallic Madness, while not the hardest final level, does suffer from some of the clutter problems in the game, and even has areas where you cannot go back, making getting to the past or destroying a roboticizer a pain. Of course, there are many traps and gizmos ready to stop you, and even the machines that shrink Sonic make you platform in different ways for a bit. The level is not awful, but it's not one of my favorites to go through either. I'd even say Wing Fortress was a better stage for a finale. I will say one cool thing about this zone is that the past, present, and bad future of the zone, they all stay dark and ominous like Eggman Base should be. But in the good future, not only does the music change to better reflect the time, but the factory has turned into a utopian city. It's just little visual storytelling that makes you want to see the different times in all the levels. As many times they can turn into completely different things based on your actions, especially the good features, making Little Planet one of Sonic's most interesting locations. Alright, so it's time to fight the final boss, and he's a freaking jobber too. As much as I hate the Death Egg Robot, at least he gave off some level of threat. And even as easy as Sonic 1's boss was, at least he looked like he was trying to kill Sonic. Here, it just looks like Eggman gave up and just wanted you to win. What is he, Dr. Neo Cortex?
I should retire to a nice big beach with a nice big drink and a woman with nice big bags of ice for my head.
Now, I know Christian Whitehead wanted to change this boss fight by making it a giant robot you have to go through time to destroy. That would have been a cool way to end the game out, but instead we got a jobber. Anyway, with Eggman defeated, Sonic and Amy escape from the base, leading to this. I always love seeing this ending, as it just shows how cool Sonic was back then. He just saved the whole planet, and now it's time for another adventure. Plus the music here, Cosmic Eternity, really makes it feel like the end of a Sonic movie rather than a game. Got a lot of old anime movie vibes here, and you get to see some of that in the levels, which are animated in the credits. They were really pushing the CD technology at the time. Oh, and if you get the bad ending, you see Eggman with a time stone going back to restart the events, but that's the only difference. So really, doing the extra stuff is only to see the good future of every level, which I think is worth it, because you see your progress continuously grow as you play the game. It's not over once you beat the game either. There's still a lot of cool, weird, extra stuff in the game once you beat it. There are strange pieces of media that can be accessed in the sound test. These range from cool artworks to weird concepts. And in this creepy screen, you have a bunch of Sonics with strange faces and creepy music playing in the background with a message saying, "Fun is infinite," which is written by someone named Majin. Not that Majin, or those other ones either, but apparently the devil. That's creepy. Yeah, I don't know what Sonic team was thinking with this, but I guess it's nice these extras are even in the game, even if they do disturb me. Also, this game has no super forms. Considering that this game Sonic was collecting time stones and not emeralds, and the fact that this game was in development while Sonic 2 was in development, I can see why they weren't implemented. Plus, the story takes place before Sonic 2, so it makes sense. However, in this version of the game, you can play as Tails. He doesn't have to peel out, but he can fly. Even though the levels weren't really made for his playstyle, it's still cool that he's here. And now we gotta talk about the music, which this soundtrack is insane, man. Once again, thanks to the CD technology, the music quality was increased, giving us some of the funkiest tracks in the entire series. Each time period has a different theme, which all are variations on the theme for the present. The themes of the past usually sound the most different, as they go for a prehistoric version of the level theme. The bad future can sound dark and destructive, which really fits well with the atmosphere, and the good future is a more happier version of the present theme. And for the first time, the soundtrack was changed in different regions. The American soundtrack is different from the Japanese soundtrack. Yeah, for some weird reason, the soundtrack was changed when it went to the US. The only thing that will remain the same would be the past versions of the songs. The US versions of the songs are more atmospheric and calm compared to the funky tracks of the Japanese version. It's really up to preference of what you like, because I think both soundtracks are good, but I prefer the Japanese soundtrack. Take a listen yourself.
Earth Tree. Boom.
So overall, even with the hiccups, I think Sonic CD is a good game. While I wouldn't consider this the best classic Sonic game like many praised it before, I also wouldn't consider it the worst classic Sonic game like many people say today. Though there are issues with the level design, and sometimes doing the time travel mechanic can be a pain, I feel that all of the extra things like the atmosphere, the music, and how cool the levels look really make the game. I mean, Sonic CD just stands out on its own, even today. Not even Sonic 3 could match up to his graphics, and even future 2D titles wouldn't have as much style as this, well, until Mania came out. However, the issues that this game have still stand out, and it's what bring the game down a bit for a lot of people, including myself. But at the same time, as I got better at multiple playthroughs, it did become easier. Unlike the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic 2, I feel like getting the Time Stones, or even going back to the past, is a lot easier in CD than it was in something like Sonic 2. The thing is, once you know where to go, you pretty much already solved the problem. I mean, it can be frustrating getting there, like getting to the past, sure, but when you're trying to find roboticizing machines, you already know the location because you already gained that skill from a previous playthrough. So that means, as annoying as something like Wacky Workbench can be to go through or find the roboticizer in, if you know the location, then you know where to go. I even found myself doing multiple playthroughs for this video, and I've gotten better at the game the more I played it, which I know can be said for anything in any game, but I think it applies here greatly. You see, no matter what, when I play Sonic 2, I still have to deal with the shitty special stages. Even if I get better at it, it's still stuff that messes me up, like the frame rate or just Tails lagging behind. There are many factors that can occur that can mess you up beyond your skill level, but in Sonic CD, it's not as bad, at least for trying to get the roboticizing machines. The special stages, however, can be troublesome, even with memorization. And it's because of that I try not to go too hard on Sonic CD because, once again, a lot of these issues can be solved with gaining skill, which is what this game is all about. It's what all of these games have all been about. And I think it's great that Sonic CD is able to make a challenge that can still work no matter what skill level you have, even if it can be frustrating at times. I don't think this holds back the entire game for me, and I still would consider it in my top 10 Sonic games, not just for the gameplay, but for the atmosphere and everything else going on in it. Sonic CD is a very divisive game, but not only can it be fun, but it provides so much charm in its levels, its gameplay, and its characters, bringing some of the most memorable and enjoyable moments in the entire series. If you just want to go through the levels, you can, there's no problem with that. If you want to get the roboticizers, you can do that. It may take you a bit to learn how to get them and where to find them, but if you map out a route, you'll be able to do it in no time. So I can't really fault the game for everything. I will say it does take patience, which is pretty hard to say in a Sonic game, but it is worth it. Overall, I'd say go play Sonic CD. I think it's a good game. I wouldn't put it above Sonic 2 because I think the level design was better in that game, but I do think this game is a great classic Sonic game and nowhere near the worst classic Sonic game. I still hold the title to Sonic 1. That's not because Sonic 1 is bad or anything, it just has that first game syndrome, and there was so much that the other two games and the third game improved on, making Sonic 1 sort of the weak link. But that's why you should play these games in order. Anyway, Sonic CD is still a good game to play. It may take some patience dealing with some of the issues in its mechanics, but it's all worth it. Alright, that's it for the video. Now, I am working on the Sonic 3K review, which is going to be a big review on the channel, along with another review that I have been trying to make really good. So, next time, you're probably going to see Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. But, for now, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you like the content and you want to see more. This is the J Blast Network, signing out. And don't forget, you gotta believe.